Hannahcast, everybody. My name is Christian, and today I'm going to be giving you my August Oscar predictions. I did one for July a couple weeks ago, but I figured why not just get August done already? Like, why not just, do August? I might do some other. Let me know if you want Oscar predictions for like multiple times a month. Let me know if you want to know that. But I've made some adjustments from my last installment of the podcast. Most notably of which I've now taken out Past Lives to win Best Picture, because I'm not like I've been trying to figure out what that movie that is like that smaller movie that is likable and stuff. Like, what's that movie that could win Best Picture? But the problem is, I haven't been able to find it. And Past Lives seems to be slowly losing steam. And if even in the Hollywood Critics Association mid-season awards, which happened a while back, Across the Spider-Verse beat Past Lives. Now, I still think Past Lives is stronger in Best Picture than Spider-Verse is. As you can see, Spider-Verse is all the way down at number 10. But it's everyone is just buzzing about Oppenheimer and stuff. Which, granted, maybe it's recency bias. I don't know. I think definitely Christopher Nolan's winning director, and we'll get to that here in a bit. But right now, it's like everything seems to be going in Oppenheimer's favor. It looks like it's going to win a ton of Oscars. And even though it's not, very lighthearted and stuff, you could still argue there's a lot of big social messages in that film. How we're on the brink of nuclear war, how, the dangers of trying to push technology or innovation so hard in a certain direction, like with AI. And as we've seen with the strikes, like the SAG strikes and the Writers Guild strikes, AI is a major concern, and Oppenheimer kind of checks that box. There is also Killers of the Flower Moon, which I have at number 2, but I just don't think Scorsese's gonna make a Best Picture winning movie anymore. I think The Departed was a one and done kind of thing, and that's just kind of it. Like, Marty's already got his Oscar. I'm not saying that should be the case or shouldn't be the case. Like, I'm just going with what the Oscars usually do. Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan is overdue. He is overdue for an Oscar, which is why I'm predicting him to also win director and adapted screenplay. But it's like, I feel like there would be more of an urge to give him an Oscar than, like, Marty. And it is one of those films where it's like, even though it is cold, like, it's not that kind of, like, I think the Oscar expert and Brother Bro kind of put it best. It's like, it's a movie that makes you, that leaves you feeling empty, but not in the same way that The Power of the Dog does. Like, The Power of the Dog was a lot more like, you have to lean in to understand what's going on. Oppenheimer, it's a film where, like, it is made abundant, like, the audience will get it. They will get what's going on, and that's not why they're going to feel empty. They're going to, again, feel empty because of what happened in human history. But it is a film that generally audiences can still get behind and understand. And obviously that's the case because Oppenheimer just passed $500 million worldwide. It is doing incredibly well. And there's a good chance it could hit 700 million or even 800 million if we're really being positive. And again, this is a R-rated drama, like a biopic. Like, there's no action scenes or anything like that. This movie is doing so well critically and box office wise because people just love it that much. Whereas with The Power of the Dog, even if The Power of the Dog did come out like this, like, even like there'd have to be a few things. Like, obviously Netflix would have, if Netflix gave The Power of the Dog a big, wide theatrical release, like a proper film, And the Power of the Dog didn't have to suffer from COVID, and we could also maybe argue this with Roma and stuff. Uh, like those movies, like Roma and Power of the Dog, they probably would have still struggled at the box office. Like even if there were, even if in the Power of the Dog's case there wasn't a pandemic related issue going on. Whereas with Oppenheimer, again, it is a crowd pleaser. Like, it's not, well, maybe it's not making them feel happy, but it's making people feel cold, but in a way where, but in a good way, in a sense. It's like, basically people aren't being alienated by Oppenheimer. They feel bad after watching it, but it's not due to feeling alienated, like, I don't know what's going on with this movie. It's like, no, I do get it. It's just the story is sad. So maybe, I think Oppenheimer, as of right now, may actually win Best Picture. And I was even kind of wondering, because I was trying to find that alternative. What is that lighthearted alternative? I don't think The Holdovers would win Best Picture. Like, I have it at number 4. Like, I have Oppenheimer at number 1, Killers of the Flower Moon at number 2, Past Lives at number 3, and The Holdovers at number 4. But I don't know if The Holdovers will do that. I don't know if it's that kind of film. The Zone of Interest, I think that might be more like a Power of the Dog or Roma. I think that might be more of that kind of film than, than Oppenheimer would be. Air, I have a number 6. Again, it is lighthearted, and it is a crowd pleaser. But again, is this, I do think, despite a lot of people taking it off their top 10, I think Air will get nominated for Best Picture, but will they want to vote for it to win? I don't know. That's the thing. Like, because Past Lives is winning original screenplay, and I did have Air at number 2 for screenplay. But ever since seeing the trailer for Holdovers and really thinking about it, Holdovers might actually be in over Air for original screenplay. Barbie is at number 7. I have Barbie I have Barbie in the top 10, but I just don't know if Barbie is that kind of film that would win. Like, this would have to be so many people's number ones, and granted, it like, the people who love Barbie really do love Barbie. I haven't seen it, but the people who love Barbie, the people who like Barbie don't just like it, they love it. But is there enough people in the Academy to vote for it? Because I don't know. Because I've said this before, like, people are trying to compare it to Everything Everywhere All at Once, where it's like, oh, old people said bad things about Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm like, really, in the grand scheme of things, no. Because older audience, like, even the critics that didn't like Barbie still loved Everything Everywhere All at Once. Everything Everywhere All at Once was a more universal film. I don't think Barbie is that. I do not think Barbie is universal enough to win Best Picture. So yeah, Dune Part 2, it's absolutely not winning. This is going to get, now I'm thinking, Dune Part 2 just gets Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Like, it's going to get Two Towers, where it gets, like, it's going to win, like, 1 Oscar, and unlike Two Towers, which I think won sound editing, I believe, that was a year where the sound categories were divided into 2s, whereas now, the sound category is 1 category, and so I think Oppenheimer's taking that, so I think Dune Part 2 is just going to perform even worse than Two Towers. So there's that. Number 9, I have Anatomy of a Fall. I don't know much about this movie, but I don't think that's the kind of film that would win Best Picture. Nothing about it seems really relevant. Nothing seems urgent to give it Best Picture. And then number 10, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I still have it in the top 10, although I am a little bit worried over its prospects. But I think Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse it'll just be an honor to get nominated. I think it'll just be an honor to get nominated, because I do not know when there will ever be a Best Picture winning animated movie. And it's sure as hell not gonna be Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Not when you had, like, Toy Story 3. Well, but even then, with Toy Story 3, like, it lost the Annie, so, I don't know. But regardless, I don't think Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is going to win Best Picture. It'll be a long time before we see an animated film win Best Picture. And at number 11, I've actually dropped out The Color Purple. Like, I've dropped the Color Purple out of my top 10 because unless this movie does really show that it's amazing and that people love it, I don't know if Warner Brothers will be very passionate enough to push The Color Purple in for Best Picture. Not when they have like Barbie, which is going to make $1 billion this weekend, and they have Dune Part 2 coming out, and I know they're going to put a lot of cards into Dune, despite that not being a very strong Best Picture contender. And plus, with musicals these days, musicals just don't seem to do well very much. Like, West Side Story, only one supporting actress, and didn't get nominated for even like film editing and stuff. In the Heights got completely goose-egged, completely forgotten about, despite the fact that it was actually even more critically acclaimed than West Side Story was. Tick Tick Boom only got lead actor and film editing. So, like, I think we're in an era where, like, musicals are kind of dying again. And again, unless The Color Purple really manages to hook audiences in, I don't know if it's going to be nominated for Best Picture now. I think I have dropped it out of that top 10. Number 12, Maestro. I still need to see how people react to this film. I just don't know, because I've always said this, like, and this is the same thing I have to say about, like, Maestro, Saltburn, because Saltburn is at number 13, Maestro's at number 12. With Maestro and Saltburn, I need to see what the response is from people. I just don't know how to feel about this, because the sophomore filmmaker's movie can go either way. You can either be, what's the word I'm looking for? You can either be like Damien Chazelle, which granted, Whiplash wasn't his first movie, but it was like the first like big movie he got recognized for. He did La La Land and he swept director everywhere. You could be Damien Chazelle, or you could be Florian Zeller. You could be Jordan Peele. Us and The Sun got nowhere near close to Best Picture. So I need to see what Maestro and Saltburn do. So there's that. Number 14, I actually have The Piano Lesson. I don't think it's going to get in. I mean, just because the Piano Lesson is an August Wilson play being made into a movie. On one hand, I'm not sure if it's going to even release this year, but until I am proven otherwise, I'm going to keep it in this year's discussion. But in case it is, I still don't think it gets in, because Ma Rainey probably could have gotten in a year of 10, but at the same time, that was a year where like a ton of movies were taken out. Like Dune was taken out, West Side Story was taken out. How many movies could have how many of the movies that did end up getting nominated for Best Picture that year would have been nominated in other years? Oh no, like if there was no pandemic, would Sound of Metal have gotten a nomination? Ma Rainey couldn't even get in when there was when there was the big pandemic and a lot of movies were taken out. So I don't think Ma Rainey was going to get in either way, and I don't think The Piano Lesson is going to get in. But yeah. Number 15 is May December. I think that film mostly kind of died. We'll have to see how people seem to respond to it when it gets on Netflix. But I'm not expecting much. So, yeah. Let's get on to Best Director. All right. Once again, Christopher Nolan's going to win this. I think Christopher Nolan, this is the year of Christopher Nolan. People are saying that Oppenheimer is Christopher Nolan's best movie, his best directorial achievement, and and again, he's overdue. The movie tackles issues that are very relevant nowadays. I think this is prime for Christopher Nolan to win. And plus, you also have the fact that he's not only got the tech support, like he's got, he has all these tech nominations, but he also has a lot of those above the line nominations. Like, it's going to get nominated for screenplay. It's going to get maybe maybe 2 or 3 acting nominations. So like Christopher Nolan literally checks all the boxes. He checks all the boxes there. Then at number 2, I have Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest. Again, he could be like an Alfonso Cuarón kind of director here. Let's see. Number 3, Celine Song for Past Lives. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, this is the exact same top 5 I had last time, which makes sense. Celine Song for Past Lives at number 3. Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon at number 4. Again, if we're talking about locks for nominations, then Marty is in. He is in more than any of these other guys. But Marty's never going to win. He's not going to win again. And then at number 5 is Alexander Payne for The Holdovers. This guy, I feel like he's going back to basics with this film, and I think this is gonna be more that kind of laid back kind of director nomination, sort of like Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin. And number 6, I have Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall. She doesn't have much of a filmography behind her, which is why I'm not predicting her to get nominated right now, but it could happen. Number 7, I have Ben Affleck for Air, because I would absolutely see the Directors Guild going for him. The Directors Guild would absolutely go for him, and there's even a chance he could get nominated at the Golden Globes and the Critics' Choice Awards. There's a chance that could happen, but at the Oscars, no, they're not going to do that. Number 8, Denis Villeneuve for Dune Part 2. Again, Dune is going to perform significantly worse than the first one, and if even the first one couldn't get nominated for director, why would Denis Villeneuve get nominated here? I think they're just going to do that. Number 9, I have Greta Gerwig for Barbie. A lot of people are saying, oh yeah, she's going to get nominated, but again, I feel like that's being very, very optimistic, because I don't think Greta Gerwig is going to get in. I don't think Greta Gerwig has a very strong chance to get nominated. Again, Barbie will be lucky to get in Best Picture, and I'm pretty sure it's going to get in for Adapted Screenplay. And then number 10, I have Bradley Cooper for Maestro, because I feel like again, a lot of this really depends on how well the film is received, but even then, Nolan, Glazer, Song, Scorsese, Payne, this makes way too much sense for a top 5. This makes way, way too much sense. So, yeah. Then, lead actor. Number 1, I still have Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer. And I know it's kind of weird to say that Cillian Murphy will win, but again, I don't have many other good alternatives. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio, again, like Marty, he's the easiest lock for a nomination, but I don't think they're going to give Leo another Oscar. Bradley Cooper for Maestro. If this movie is very well received and, it is actually a Best Picture contender, I will predict Bradley Cooper to win. But I don't have that right now. And granted, Cillian Murphy doesn't really have a big transformation going on, but again, I feel like he's playing a big historical figure. It's literally his movie, the whole movie centered around him. I feel like that's why I kind of feel like Cillian Murphy has the best chance to win. Number 4, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers. I think that's a good, safe bet for a nomination. He's never going to win for this, but, he's like a Colin Farrell. And then you have T.O.U. for Past Lives at number 5, which I am a little bit hesitant over, but again, I don't have anyone else. I don't know who else to put in, because there is also Matt Damon for Air, who I have at number 6, but I feel like he would get in at SAG and maybe even Golden Globes, but not the Oscars. John David Washington for The Piano Lesson at number 7, is at number 7 for me, but I don't know. Again, I don't know if that will happen. And again, there is, but yeah, Coleman Domingo for Rustin. I need to see how well, sort of like Maestro. I need to see how well this movie does. Like, if this movie's like really, really well received, then yeah, I'll put in Coleman Domingo. But right now, I don't have a good, I need to be careful. I need to be careful when predicting because I don't want to get too ambitious, you know. So yeah. Barry Keoghan for Saltburn. Maybe I have him at number 9, but again, I need to see how this plays out. It doesn't sound like a role that would be nominated for Best Lead Actor, though. I don't know. And then at number 10, I kind of just default to Anthony Hopkins for Freud's Last Session. I don't know if that movie's really going to be a thing, but we'll have to see. Then we have lead actress. And number 1, I still have Greta Lee for Past Lives. I feel like, I know some people are going, what? Not Sandra Huller? But it's like, I just don't know. Like, I don't know. I feel like Greta Lee, would probably still win this. Like, this sounds like a win that you would want to really kind of give in, or like vote for, I should say. I'm bad with words. But Sandra Huller will absolutely, win BAFTA. I'm pretty sure she'll even win the Golden Globe. But I just don't know if Sandra Huller would be an Oscar winner in today's day and age. I don't know. Jessica Lange for Long Day's Journey into Night. I'm kind of going with her for a nomination. Everyone, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, she won or was nominated for a Tony for playing this exact same role. And she could definitely win this. And I've actually dropped Fantasia Barrino down to number 4 for The Color Purple. Because, again, I think Color Purple is kind of dying. Granted, the movie's not come out yet, so maybe it will be a cultural phenomenon. But right now, The Color Purple doesn't really seem to be very strong. And if it's not very strong, then I don't think Fantasia Barrino's all that strong. And then at number 5, we have Natalie Portman for May December. I think that's a pretty safe bet to make. I think it's a very safe bet for a nomination. Number 6, Margot Robbie for Barbie. I mean, it could happen. I don't think it would. But, I think, let's see. Obviously, Margot Robbie is winning. I think she'll actually win the comedy musical actress category over Fantasia Barrino. And I do think she'll get nominated at Critics' Choice because they can have 8 actors nominated or something like that. And at SAG, I feel like that could also happen. But ultimately, I don't know if the Oscars would do that. Again, I just don't know if they would. Carey Mulligan, for Maestro, I have at number 7. Once again, I need to wait to see how Maestro plays out. Is this movie actually going to be a thing, or is it just a myth? So we'll have to see. Emma Stone for Poor Things. Again, I feel like comedy musical actress Golden Globe could easily happen, but Poor Things I think is just going to be too weird for the Oscars. So, yeah. Annette Bening for Nyad, I have at number 9. I just don't think that's happening. I feel like, well, granted, I don't know what the response for this film will be, but I feel like it's just going to be another one of those biopics that wants to get in for Best Picture, but ultimately, or wants to contend for Oscars and stuff, but ultimately won't. That's just how it's feeling right now. And at number 10, I have Kaylee Spaney for Priscilla, which is the movie about Elvis's wife. Once again, I just don't know if that's happening. I don't really know if that's happening. Because I kind of just defaulted to her because I don't really have anyone else in mind. Now we get to Best Supporting Actor. At number 1, I'm still going with Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer. I feel like there's so much going in favor, not just with Oppenheimer, but Robert Downey Jr. as well, because you have the big Best Picture frontrunner, and Robert Downey Jr. is back, not doing Marvel, which is, gonna be like a big Oscars thing, like, oh yeah, welcome back, Robert Downey Jr., and people are saying that this is his best performance ever. And so, I feel like all that kind of going in, I think Robert Downey Jr. has a very good case to win supporting actor. If not him, Ryan Gosling for Barbie would definitely be the case. Like, even people who don't like Barbie loved Ryan Gosling in Barbie. So, like, even if this movie ends up like, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, where it's like not being taken as seriously by a lot of other places, Ryan Gosling is stronger. Like, he would be stronger. And at number 3, what I'm going to do? I was hesitating before, but screw it, I'm doing it. Number 3, I have Dominic Sessa for The Holdovers. No one knows who this guy is, granted, but this just screams, and I mean screams, Lucas Hedges from Manchester by the Sea. Like, no one knows who Dominic Sessa is. He's in a Best Picture nominated film, and he's arguably stealing the show in a few scenes. And he's like the big emotional weight of the film. I think it's very safe to say he will get nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Number 4, I have Samuel L. Jackson for The Piano Lesson. Again, assuming that it comes out this year. But Samuel L. Jackson, I feel like, will absolutely win. Not win. If this movie comes out, he will absolutely get nominated. Because, like, I have been watching clips of The Piano Lesson, like the play, and this kind of performance would absolutely be one that could get Samuel L. Jackson a nomination. And plus, like, there's also this thing that's been kind of going around the news, like, wait, what? Samuel L. Jackson hasn't been nominated for an Oscar since Pulp Fiction? I feel like that narrative, being one of Hollywood's veterans and not having been nominated for like a long, long time, there's a good narrative in there for Samuel L. Jackson to get nominated. And at number 5, I'm going with Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, although I am still saying there's a chance he's weak. There is a good chance he's weak, because again, you look at The Irishman, you watch The Irishman and you go, well, how could this performance not get nominated for an Oscar? It's literally him. The movie's resting on his shoulders for 3.5 hours. And yet he was nowhere to be seen. Nowhere. The only place he got in was Critics' Choice. So, look, I think Robert De Niro, right now I'm saying Robert De Niro gets in, but he's weak. He could be weak now. And at number 6, I've dropped out John Magaro for Past Lives. I feel like a lot of, now that the competition is becoming a little bit more clear, I think he's not gonna stand much of a chance. Number 7, Ben Affleck for Air, absolutely going to get SAG nominated. Let's not kid ourselves. He's getting SAG nominated. But once again, I don't feel like it's happening at the Oscars. At number 8, I have Charles Melton for May December. This could happen, but like I said, the hype for May December has kind of been dying down, and it's getting harder and harder to make an argument for a lot of other people when you literally have like Robert Downey Jr. and Ryan Gosling and Dominic Sessa. Glenn Howerton, Blackberry, I have at number 9. People are raving about him, but he would need to make like a Brian Tyree Henry comeback to get nominated. Like, he would need, if he gets nominated at Critics' Choice, all right, I could maybe see a path, but right now, obviously I'm not predicting him, but I will keep an eye on him. And at number 10, I have Jesse Plemons for Killers of the Flower Moon, because if he actually does, I've heard he's not in the movie a lot, but if he does steal the scenes he's in, he could be in. And same thing with Brendan Fraser, who, if I'm not mistaken, they said is only in the movie for like 5 minutes, but within those 5 minutes, he's really, really good. If he does indeed, if either Jesse Plemons or Brendan Fraser can do like a Judd Hirsch kind of thing, where they're just like in and out, and they just kind of blow us away in that little amount of screen time, then they could get in. And then we have Best Supporting Actress, in which we have Lily Gladstone at number 1 for Killers of the Flower Moon. I've said this before, I've said it again. There's so much of a narrative for her to win Best Supporting Actress. Like, even if Killers of the Flower Moon gets goose-egged everywhere else, like in terms of the categories, then Lily Gladstone would still win Supporting Actress. Because, you know, she said that she's been really trying to get into Hollywood for a long time, has gotten some roles, but ultimately was getting ready to quit right before being offered the role in Killers of the Flower Moon. So there's a narrative right there. They also say she steals the show. They also, and it's obviously it's a big Best Picture contender. So I feel like she wins, unless, and I got scared thinking about this, because what if they try to push her in lead actress? Like, Lily Gladstone, I feel like I think they'll still put her in supporting actress, but who knows? There is always that possibility where, you know, they put her in for lead actress instead of supporting actress. Right now, I'll still go with supporting, and I probably will go supporting until proven otherwise, but there is always that possibility. And number 2, if, again, the piano lesson comes out this year, I think I've actually put up Danielle Deadwyler at number 2 for the piano lesson. Because, like, again, I've watched some clips of the show, and even though, granted, none of them had Danielle Deadwyler in them, listening to some of the monologues from her character in the piano lesson, like, this is a very Beatty performance. This is a very Oscar Beatty performance with, like, a big monologue. I feel like that, like, this could definitely get a nomination. Again, provided if the movie comes out this year. Number 3, I have Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple. Everyone's saying that this is like one of the standout characters in the movie, so I'll just go along with that. Even if The Color Purple is overall weak, there's still a good chance that she gets nominated. Number 4, I have Davine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. Once again, this feels like a very kind of likable performance from a Best Picture contender that would get in. And then at number 5, I have Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer. People are saying that she is, like, surprisingly really good in the movie. And not surprisingly in terms of her acting abilities. I'm saying surprisingly because you wouldn't expect, a third acting contender to be in the third actor in a Christopher Nolan movie to be in for an acting Oscar, but here we are. Number 6, I have Taraji P. Henson for The Color Purple. Maybe that happens, although I did drop her out because I feel like overall, The Color Purple is looking to be increasingly weaker of a contender. Number 7, I have Viola Davis for Air. I know people are going to be shocked that I have Air in for Best Picture and not Viola Davis, but I don't know. This does not scream a, Oscar nomination worthy performance. It's just not. Again, I think Critics' Choice might do it because they have more than 5 nominees now. BAFTA will do it because Viola Davis will get saved by the jury, and SAG will do it, but I just don't think Viola Davis cuts it. I don't think she gets nominated. And so, yeah. Number 8, a new addition I have, Florence Pugh for Oppenheimer, because everyone's currently talking about Emily Blunt, but a lot of people are still kind of are talking about how no one's really talking about Florence Pugh. And if enough people saying, no one's talking about Florence Pugh all that much, get in, if more of those people start saying it, then Florence Pugh could maybe quietly get in. Number 9, I have Julianne Moore for May December. Again, mainly a placeholder thing. That's at least a safe bet for a top 10. And then number 10, the Sandra Huller for The Zone of Interest. Because obviously, they're not I don't know what they're going to do with Sandra Huller for The Zone of Interest. Because I know they can't do lead because you can't have the same actor nominated twice in a single year. So you can't have Sandra Huller for The Zone of Interest and Sandra Huller for Anatomy of a Fall nominated. So if they're gonna try to push Sandra Huller, they're gonna push her in supporting actress for Zone of Interest. So yeah. Then we have original screenplay, which again, I feel like Past Lives has this in the bag. So yeah, I don't really have much anything to say else about it because this is sort of the same of what I said before. But like I said, Past Lives, I feel like it is, if it were going to win anything, it would win original screenplay. And number 2, I've dropped out Air from the number 2 spot, and instead I put in the holdovers, like, if Past Lives somehow becomes weaker during the season, then the holdovers would absolutely get it. Number 3, I still have Air. If I'm putting it in Best Picture, I'm putting it in Original Screenplay, and I feel like there is enough of a passion to get this film nominated. Number 4, Anatomy of a Fall, again, Best Picture contender, and also, at number 5, I have Drive Away Dolls, which is written by, I think, Ethan Coen. I want to say Ethan Coen. So this could happen, because the Coen brothers got nominated for Buster Scruggs, like that was insane. So Drive Away Dolls could absolutely happen, because again, I don't really have much of a good argument for anything else. May December, I mean maybe, but I need to see how this film performs later on. Saltburn, I'm waiting to see what people think of that. Joyride, I think gets in at Writers Guild, but it's not gonna make it at the Oscars. Asteroid City at number 9. Once again, Writers Guild, but nothing really in for... I don't think it's going to get in the Oscars. And at number 10, I've put in Maestro. Again, just in case this movie actually does do well. But right now, I'm not really going with Maestro at the moment. Again, I need to be proven of Maestro's quality. And so yeah, then we have adapted screenplay, which once again I'm going with Oppenheimer. I think Oppenheimer could very well just be a big juggernaut. So I have Oppenheimer winning for the reasons I said before. It's very relevant. There's a lot of things kind of going on thematically that speak to people nowadays, really in today's age. Again, Christopher Nolan is overdue. And so, yeah. Barbie, plus with Oppenheimer, unlike some of his other movies like Inception and Dunkirk, this is his most dialogue-driven film in forever. So I feel like this would absolutely win. Number 2, I have Barbie, because I have it at Barbie because this could be a film lighthearted. If this gets nominated in Best Picture, it's gonna win. If it's not a big Best Picture contender, then I'm not putting it in. At least not to win. Because in the expanded Best Picture era, you need to be nominated for Best Picture in order to win screenplay. Ever since they expanded the Best Picture lineup, there has never, ever once been a movie that won screenplay, original or adapted, that didn't also get a Best Picture nomination. Which, that's why I was saying, Glass Onion will never win or adapted screenplay, because it's not in for Best Picture, so Barbie needs Best Picture in order to win adapted screenplay. So there's that. Number 3, I have Killers of the Flower Moon. Some people are predicting it to win, but again, I don't know. I feel like this is just the safe pick, and I don't think the Oscars will go safe. They will probably go for something that's a little bit more inventive, revolutionary. And plus, with Oppenheimer, I forgot to mention this, the screenplay is written in the first person, at least from what I've heard. So, it makes the screenplay a lot more unique than something like Killers of the Flower Moon. So there we have it. Number 4, I have The Zone of Interest, because again, I feel like it's a pretty decent bet to make. This would be like a Roma kind of nomination. It would never win, but it would absolutely get nominated. And at number 5, I have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, because if I'm putting Spider-Verse in for Best Picture, it needs screenplay. It needs screenplay. Up and Toy Story 3 both got screenplay nominations. So, like, you can't really afford to miss that nowadays. Now, people will go, well, what about Beauty and the Beast? Different era, different time. Like, we're in a completely different era where movies are way more competitive nowadays. And so Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse needs adapted screenplay to get nominated for Best Picture. If not that, then maybe Dune. But even then, at the same time, Dune is looking pretty weak. So I don't know. At number 7, I have The Collaboration, which is Anthony McCartan. But as I said in the previous episode of the Hannahcast, maybe not previous episode, but like, you know, the July Oscar nominations. Like the Collaboration play has gotten very mixed reviews. So it's probably looking to be pretty weak, unless somehow this translates way better in film than it does on stage. If that's the case, then it's getting nominated somehow. Although I'd have to take out something. I don't know what to take out. Number 8, Next Goal Wins. This would easily be like a Writers Guild nomination. But I don't know if there's anything really in Next Goal Wins that would propel it to be a big awards contender. It just seems like a very good sports movie, which I don't think would be enough for the Oscars to take seriously. You know, and I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying that's just the reality of the situation. Number 9, Poor Things. Once again, Yorgos Lanthimos movies do pretty well with writers. You know, The Favorite got nominated, The Lobster got in. Maybe Poor Things could do it, although this is especially weird, so I don't know. And then at number 10, I have Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. This was a box office disaster, but it is arguably the most critically revered film of the year. So it has that going for it. And if for nothing else, I would have to get in a Writers Guild, right? So yeah. Then we have Cinematography. At number 1, I still have Oppenheimer. It's way more revolutionary than anything else here. You know, the scenes in color are from Oppenheimer's perspective, and then the black and white scenes are from the outside world looking at Oppenheimer. So yeah, and plus, like, at least looking from the trailers, like, the cinematography, it looks like some of the best out of any Christopher Nolan movie. Like, it has the scope. It has that black and white for, like, the art house people. It has, like, the cinematography just has everything you would want. Number 2, I have Dune Part 2. Again, like, it's not gonna win, but, you know, I think it could still get nominated. Number 3, Killers of the Flower Moon. Same thing with Dune, it's just a safe bet to make. But at number 4, I put in El Conde, which this image recently came out, and it's like, if the whole movie looks like that, well, you can't see it if you're listening to this on the audio podcast, but if you're on YouTube, if the whole movie looks like this, then absolutely it would get nominated for cinematography. It would absolutely get in. And at number 5, I have The Zone of Interest. The Zone of Interest would be, big international feature kind of film getting in for cinematography, even though I think El Conde is already doing that, but considering Zone of Interest is very much in Best Picture, yeah. Number 6, I have Napoleon. Like, the trailer for Napoleon came out, and again, I don't think it's good. I don't know why Napoleon is still in people's like in Gold Derby's top 10. I don't know why, because Ridley Scott is so hit or miss. But if we're talking about cinematography, then it does look incredible. The cinematography in Napoleon does look unbelievable. So it has that going for it. I think it's probably if you were to predict it for any category, which I'm still not. If you were, I would say your best bet for Napoleon is cinematography. Number 7 is Maestro, because Matthew Libatique, like Oscar veteran. Number 8, I have Poor Things, because the cinematography looks really weird and kind of kooky. That could happen. Number 9, Asteroid City. It's Wes Anderson, but if the French Dispatch couldn't get in, why would this one? And then at number 10 for Barbie. I would not, like, looking at the trailers for Barbie, it does not look like a cinematography contender. Although everyone who reviews the movie talks about it, like how amazing the cinematography is. I don't see it, but maybe there is just that much passion for Barbie. I don't know. Let's see. And yeah, so yeah, that's about it for cinematography. But so I have added in El Conde because this movie could sneak in. Film editing. We have number 1, Oppenheimer. Because from what everyone's saying, the editing in Oppenheimer is so fast paced and like it doesn't, like, for a 3-hour movie it doesn't feel like 3 hours. That can go a long way. But not only that, like the fact that it feels very fast paced and exciting without being an action movie, that could absolutely propel it to a win. If not, then you still have Dune Part 2. But again, that's kind of just in there because the first film won. Air at number 3. If this movie's getting in Best Picture, it's absolutely going to get in at film editing. I'm just putting it out there right now. You better prepare yourselves. Number 4, Killers of the Flower Moon. It's just a safe bet. Killers of the Flower Moon for Best Film Editing is just a safe bet. And then The Zone of Interest could also get in. If not The Zone of Interest, at number 6, we have Barbie. That could happen. It's a big comedy, big budget comedy. That could maybe happen. Number 7, Past Lives. From what I understand, the film editing, the editing is not very flashy, but it's just like very precise. So maybe that could happen. Number 8, The Holdovers. This would be like a Banshees of Inisherin kind of nomination, which would be kind of weird, but I don't know. Anatomy of a Fall, again, more of a placeholder nomination. And at number 10, maybe The Killer. I got into a debate with people today over this. I think The Killer just gets goose-egged. Even if it's one of the best movies of the year, The Killer, I don't think is going to get a single nomination. The Oscars do not like, murder mystery movies. And people go, well, with Dragon Tattoo, that was different. It's based on like a big IP, like a very big popular IP that David Fincher was directing. Plus, he came right off of The Social Network, which he was expected to win Best Picture and Director for. So yeah. So with The Killer, I don't think there's much of an argument to be made there. Because again, the Oscars just don't like thrillers all that much. Then we have production design. This is easily Barbie's to win. Like, Barbie is gonna win this. Like, if nothing else, Barbie will win production design. They created Barbie Land. It looks amazing. It looks colorful. It looks creative. So, like, and I found out this, in the past 40 years, only 2 movies that took place in the modern, in the present, that took place in the present day, won production design. There was La La Land and there was Batman. In the past 40 years, which is nuts. So Barbie's going to become the third to do that. So yeah. At number 2, I have Dune Part 2. The first film won production design, so I wouldn't be surprised if it got. Actually, it would be very expected to get nominated here. Killers of the Flower Moon at number 3. Oppenheimer at number 4. Color Purple at number 5. Even though it's looking pretty weak, I still. Like, again, I kind of have to go with the Oscar expert here. Like, the top 5 for production design, it's just locked. I don't know what other movie could possibly get in. Poor Things at number 6? I mean, maybe. El Conde for number 7? Maybe. Wonka, which I have at number 8? Maybe. Asteroid City at number 9? Perhaps. Although at number 10, I do have a new addition, which is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I don't think this is happening, but I think, like, sometimes, the the art, like the production design, branch of the Academy could probably go for this. Because, like, they have gone with weird choices in the past that no one else predicted, like Passengers. And the production design in Guardians 3 looks really, really good. Like, I was finally able to see it a couple days ago. It looks really nice, it looks really good, and the production design has a lot to do with that. So I'm keeping my eye on Guardians 3, although I don't think it'll happen, but we'll have to see. Then we have costume design. Once again, I think this is the same top 5 I had before. Number 1, Barbie. There's so many Barbie outfits. It's insane. Dune Part 2, maybe. Wonka at number 3. Yeah, I think that's gonna get nominated. I don't think it's gonna win. But, like, the costumes in the Wonka trailer look really, really good. Killers of the Flower Moon. I mean, if the Irishman got in, then the Killers would have to get in. And then number 5, The Color Purple. Once again, I feel like this is a very safe top 5 to make. It's a very safe top 5. And number 6, I have Poor Things. At number 7, I have Chevalier. But I don't think that's happening. But, it could. But there's always a chance it could. Number 8 is Asteroid City. Very contemporary, although I don't think it'll happen. Again, I think Asteroid City is mainly just going to get goose-egged. Number 9, The Little Mermaid, and number 10, The Haunted Mansion. I don't think they're going to happen, but the costumes do look kind of fun, especially with Haunted Mansion. So, yeah. Makeup and hairstyling. We have number 1, Maestro, especially if this is a Best Picture contender, because the makeup in this looks absolutely astounding. But if somehow people absolutely despise Maestro, and this is maybe worse reception than Babylon, then we could very well see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 get in. Get a win. Because Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 broke the record for the most prosthetics ever used on film. And now, having seen the movie, oh my god, there's so much makeup in this film. And it's all so creative. There's so much going on that I'm even thinking at the Makeup and Hairstylists Guild, Guardians 3 will win, It'll probably sweep. It'll win period character makeup, period character hairstyling, and special effects makeup. I feel like the Makeup and Hairstylists Guild will go all out on Guardians 3. But the people who vote for the winners at the Oscars aren't the same voters. It's the General Academy. And they'll probably go for something more baity. But again, but it would have to be a crazy scenario where Maestro is the most despised thing in the world. Then at number 3 we have Golda. What they did with Helen Mirren is actually kind of astounding. I don't recognize her at all, so I think Golda's going to get nominated. Dune Part 2, again, it's a very safe bet for a nomination, so I don't really have much to say there. John Wick Chapter 4, do not sleep on John Wick, people. The character played by Scott Adkins, this guy right here, that's a really good makeup transformation. It's a really, really good makeup transformation, and so we should keep our eyes on it. At number 6, we have Poor Things. There's more images being put out for this movie, especially with the Willem Dafoe character. Looks really good. That would also be a very strong contender. At number 7, we have A Different Man, where Sebastian Stan is playing this horribly disfigured character. Again, that could happen. So, yeah. Then at number 8, we have Long Day's Journey into Night. It looks like there's some old people makeup in there, so that could happen. Or at least it could get shortlisted. At number 9, we have The Color Purple. I don't think it's actually going to get in, but I think it's going to be on the short list West Side Story was. And at number 10, we have Oppenheimer, because from what I've heard, there actually are some pretty good makeup transformations in that film, so we'll have to see. Then we get to visual effects. And I will say, there is something kind of different here, because at number 1, I mean, not really in the top 5, but later on in the top 10. And keep in mind, if I'm predicting something in the top 10, I'm expecting it to be on the short list. Number 1, Dune Part 2, unless Warner Brothers actually does decide to make the stupid decision of pushing this movie. I mean, if Dune Part 2 wins nothing else, it's going to win visual effects. That's just a fact. Number 2 is The Creator. Again, very, very safe bet for a nomination. And would absolutely win if Dune missed out. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, especially after seeing this movie, it's absolutely locked. It's locked in. Like, this top 3 is untouchable. Number 4, I still think The Little Mermaid's going to get in. I don't trust film Twitter when they say that the effects look bad. The effects actually look pretty good for what they're trying to do. And it's just like, film Twitter said that The Green Knight was going to get shortlisted and that Everything Everywhere All at Once was going to get nominated, or that, Black Panther was going to win visual effects. And yet none of that happened. Absolutely none of that happened. And, none of them were predicting like Christopher Robin or Solo. People were also being upset that The Invisible Man didn't get nominated, or Sonic the Hedgehog, even though they didn't deserve it, really. So, I think ultimately, The Little Mermaid, from actual visual effects people, will be appreciated enough in that craft. And at number 5, I'm kind of going with Rebel Moon, although it is kind of hard to figure out what that 5th slot is. I'm really, really expecting there's going to be like an All Quiet or 13 Lives coming, because where it's like a movie that you would not expect to have a ton of visual effects that actually manages to have tons of visual effects in it. But right now, I don't know what that movie is. At number 6, I have Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. The response has been kind of mixed. The de-aging on Harrison Ford looks perfect, but I don't know. Like, they didn't nominate Ghostbusters Afterlife, and they didn't even shortlist Furious 7, despite the fact that Furious 7 got nominated for the top prize at Visual Effects Society, which is kind of weird. So it seems like de-aging people isn't really enough nowadays. So we'll have to see. Number 7, The Marvels. It's Marvel. And same thing with Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, which I know some people don't even have that in, like, the top 20 or whatever. But, like, come on. It's Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. It's Marvel. Marvel always makes these shortlists. And some people go, well, Thor, Love and Thunder didn't get in the top 10. It didn't get shortlisted in the 10. I'm like, yeah, but also last year was looking significantly stronger in visual effects than 2022. Than 2023. This is not a good year for visual effects. Like, we're kind of struggling here. And one of the things I had to take out was the Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel. I took that out of the top 10 because they pushed that movie to next year. So it's like, I don't have many other good options. I do have Oppenheimer at number 9, but I'm kind of hesitantly putting it in the top 10 because I don't think it's getting nominated because it's a big, it's a biopic where people talk and there's like one explosion. I don't think that's that's not a movie that gets nominated for visual effects. And same thing with the fact that, how it got, like, where I think there's like 24, 26 people credited for the visual effects in Oppenheimer. That's not to say that there isn't visual effects in Oppenheimer, but considering there's such a small team, it's just not going to get in. Nothing's going to be substantial enough to get it a nomination. So there's that. And so with Ghostbusters gone, and I can't really think of anything else, for number 10, I just have to default to Transformers Rise of the Beasts. And even then, I'm not confident that that's getting in the top 10. Because the last Transformers movie to get shortlisted was Transformers Age of Extinction. And it didn't get nominated. The Last Night didn't even make a list of 20. And Bumblebee didn't make it to the top 10. Despite being a December release, which really helped it. So, I think the visual effects branch is just kind of dumb with Transformers, but there's just not many other good options. This is just not a good year. Like, some people are saying Spider-Verse is going to get in. I'm not confident over that because only 3 animated films have ever been nominated for visual effects. Nightmare Before Christmas, Kubo and the Two Strings, which were stop motion movies, and The Lion King, which was the first ever like photoreal animated movie. So I don't think Spider-Verse I don't have a good argument to make for Spider-Verse right now. And again, I don't want to trust film Twitter because film Twitter, again, they'll go for movies that have no chance of getting in. So I have to wait and see where the passion for Spider-Verse is for visual effects. And even then, people were trying to predict, like, here's how bad of a track record animated films have for visual effects. Soul could not get nominated in the worst year we've ever had for visual effects. Like, 2020, everything was gone. Dune was gone. No Time to Die was gone. Free Guy was gone. Every Marvel movie was gone. Top Gun Maverick was gone. Ghostbusters Afterlife was gone. All the competition was gone. And I guarantee you, none of the films that ended up getting nominated, including Tenet, would have ever been nominated if there was no pandemic. Because like there was just no competition that year. All the legitimate visual effects contenders were gone. And if Soul couldn't do it, I don't know why Spider-Verse would. Which, granted, this year isn't looking very strong as well, but it's significantly stronger than, 2020 was. So I just don't have a good argument to make to include Spider-Verse in here. And plus, Spider-Verse does not need visual effects to get nominated for Best Picture. All it needs, obviously it needs animated feature, but outside of that, it needs adapted screenplay, sound, and either score or song to get nominated. It needs that kind of combo. It doesn't need visual effects. So yeah. And so, like I said, cry all you want that I have Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania on here. But again, what are the options? What other options do we have? There's not much else to go off of right now. Because I don't think Spider-Verse is getting in. And I know for a fact, none of the DC movies are getting in. Because even if The Flash or any of these other ones, or even if we haven't even seen Aquaman 2. Even if Aquaman 2 is so beloved, everyone loves it, and it has amazing visual effects, they will not go for the visual effects branch will not go for DC movies, or at least not the DC universe. Because yeah, they went for the Batman, but the Batman was an Elseworlds movie. That's not a DC universe movie. The visual effects branch will not go for the DC universe. They didn't do it for the Suicide Squad. They didn't do it for Man of Steel. They didn't do it for Wonder Woman 84, despite the fact that it was a weak year for visual effects. And even then, the one movie that did get in was Birds of Prey, which was 2020. And that felt like a slap in the face, because it's like, what? Why? Why Birds of Prey of all movies? So it's like, and that was practically a joke submission. So why would any DC movies get in? So again, I have to put in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania because Marvel has a great track record of not only getting nominated, but they have an even better track record of getting shortlisted. And considering this is a weak year, weaker than last year, I think it very well gets in. Sound, we have Oppenheimer at number 1. I think Oppenheimer, everyone keeps talking about how amazing the sound in Oppenheimer is, so there's that. Number 2, Dune Part 2, because again, it has, the first film won, though I don't think it's going to win. Killers of the Flower Moon, I have at number 3, because again, it makes sense. The Color Purple at number 4. I'm expecting The Color Purple to be pretty weak in most other categories, but sound is a good bet to make. And then if Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is in for Best Picture, it's getting in for sound. And once again, people are going, but there were audio mixing issues with the movie. No, there weren't. The problem wasn't the mixing of the movie. The problem was that the theaters would not calibrate their speakers properly, even though the studio and the filmmakers said, hey, you need to calibrate your speakers this way for the movie to sound right. They didn't do that, so then the movie is kind of forced to remix the film's sound because of the theater's incompetence. So I think that's the problem. Like, I don't think the problem with Across the Spider-Verse is really the sound mixing. It's more so just the fact that the theaters wouldn't calibrate their speakers properly. And even then, there's still the sound editing aspect of the movie you have to consider. And again, just look at the stats. Beauty and the Beast got nominated for sound mixing. Up and Toy Story 3, they got nominated for sound editing. You need sound to get nominated for Best Picture because it shows you're a big contender other than just Best Animated Feature. Because, even with Marvel, this was the case. Because, Iron Man, I think, got nominated for sound editing. I'm not sure about mixing. Hold on, let me see about that. Yeah, it only got sound editing. After Iron Man, Marvel did not see a single sound nomination until Black Panther, which was the big Best Picture contender. So you kind of need to be a big bucks office. If you're like something like Across the Spider-Verse, like an animated movie or a big superhero movie, you need to be in the Best Picture conversation to get in for Best Sound. For the most part. So, yeah. Number 6, I'm going with The Creator. I think The Creator could maybe happen. Especially if Dune gets pushed and if The Color Purple is significantly weaker than we thought. Number 7, I have Sisu, which I've already explained this before. It's a movie where practically the entire sound was created and edited in post, because when they were recording the movies, when they were recording the movie, the audio was the background noise was just too much, and so they had to pretty much do everything else in terms of sound all over again, which could definitely impress the sound branch. Number 8, The Zone of Interest. Maybe that could happen. We'll have to see. Number 7, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I don't think it's going to get nominated, but, it's going to get shortlisted. And then at number 10, I actually now have Chevalier, because I've seen some clips of the movie. I don't think it's going to get in for score, because the score is not really an original score for the most part. But you could maybe see it in the conversation for sound. You could definitely see it in the conversation for sound. So, yeah. Then we have Best Original Score. Number 1, everyone's talking about the score in Oppenheimer, so I'm kind of just putting it in number 1. Again, I think this is going to be maybe one of the biggest sweepers we've seen in a long, long time. Potentially, if I'm not mistaken, winning as many Oscars as Slumdog Millionaire, which was 8, which would be insane. Actually, wait, no, I'm predicting it to win 9 Oscars, which would be again, the biggest Oscar juggernaut since Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. So, yeah. Number 2, I have Dune Part 2. Again, I think it gets nominated, but I think nothing's really going to stop Oppenheimer right now. Elemental, I have at number 3. I'm not expecting it to get nominated for animated feature, but the score is really, really good. Number 4, I have Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Come on, let's face it, it's John Williams. He always gets in. And at number 5, if Across the Spider-Verse is a heavy Best Picture contender, it's going to get in for original score. So yeah, Past Lives, I have at number 6. Number 7, The Killer, because it's Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. They have a pretty good track record, but again, the Oscars just don't like their mystery movies. Number 8, Wonka. The musical sequences are original songs, and so it could get a Mary Poppins Returns kind of original score nomination. The Creator at number 9. Hans Zimmer's doing it, although I'm wondering if that will actually I wonder if that will actually happen, considering, I don't know. We'll have to see. And then number 9, number 10, I have Killers of the Flower Moon. A lot of people are putting in the top 10, but Martin Scorsese's movies have not been nominated for original score. They rarely get nominated. The last film of his to get nominated for score was Hugo, and before that, I think it was some film from the very early 2000s or the 90s or something. Scorsese's movies are just not really score movies. They're mainly soundtrack movies. So yeah. Then we have original song. I may a number right now. I don't know what else. Actually, it's kind of the same from last time. I'm not exactly sure what's going to go on. Like number one's going to be some song, like some Diane Warren song, whether it's from the Diane Warren documentary or 80 for Brady. I don't know. I don't think it's going to win. I don't know if that's going to win, but original song is so hard to predict now. Number two, we have I'm Just Ken from Barbie, probably. This Wish from Wish. I don't think the movie's getting in Best Animated Feature, but sure. Quiet Eyes from Past Lives, and number five, Calling from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I don't know which song from Spider-Verse is going to get in. We'll have to see. Number six, Peaches from the Mario movie. I'd love to see that happen. It'd be really funny. I don't know if the Oscars would be that cool, though. Number seven, some song from Wonka. I don't know what song that would be. We don't even know what the songs are. But again, the songs are original. It's like the song sequences are original, so it could definitely get in. And then number eight, Spinning Globe from The Boy and the Heron. Sure, why not? I'm not gonna act like I know a lot about the original song category going on right now. And then the last category we're going to talk about right now is Best Animated Feature. Obviously, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is going to win. If Across the Spider-Verse, does not get nominated for Best Picture, it's still going to win Animated Feature, no matter what. Number two, The Boy and the Heron. Obviously, it's Hayao Miyazaki. That's going to get in. Number three, Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. Aardman Animation does not rarely misses nowadays. Even the Shaun the Sheep movies and the Pirates Band of Misfits got in. So I think that's a very safe bet. Number four, Nimona. Very critically acclaimed, very, very good. And the narrative behind it, where it's like, the Blue Sky Studios film that was abandoned by Disney, got saved by Netflix. The narrative is right there, and I feel like that's gonna go for miles. And then at number five, I have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. The reviews are stupid good. This is the first theatrically released Ninja Turtles movie to actually be critically praised. Like, people are eating this movie up. And if I'm being honest, I think we're locked in. This is our top five. This is going to be our lineup. Like, not even just in terms of like early predictions. It's just like, I think it's done. I think this is done. I have The Peasants at number six. From the same director of Loving Vincent. We'll see how that happens. Elemental, never going to happen. I think it's going to get nominated at Golden Globe and, Critics' Choice and PGA and maybe the Annies. But that movie's in the 70s on Rotten Tomatoes, and the Oscars have a very, very, very high standard for not just animated movies, but Disney movies. What was it? The Good Dinosaur didn't get in. What was it? Monsters University didn't get in. Frozen 2 didn't get in. Cars 3 didn't get in. Your movie needs to be critically praised to get in. People need to absolutely fall in love with your movie. Or at the very least, it needs to be in that 90s range on Rotten Tomatoes. And Elemental's nowhere near that. Wish just looks bad, and unless this movie, again, surprises, and if this movie surprises, hey, look, maybe, but right now, absolutely not. This looks so generic, and I just think we're just going to get a Disney-less Oscars this year. Number 9, Robot Dreams, perhaps. I think it's Neon that's releasing this movie. And then number 10, Suzume, because it's definitely one of the most critically praised animated films of the year, but if movies like Your Name, Weathering with You, and Belle couldn't get nominated, then Suzume is not going to happen at all. And folks, those are my Oscar predictions. Now the question goes to you. What are your predictions for the Best Picture nominees, or really just any category? Let me know what your predictions are in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and consider hitting that subscribe button, because if you don't, maybe you will become Death, the Destroyer of Worlds.